for Honors Algebra 2 for this year. It's going to be lesson 1, 2. All I really want you guys to get out of this video is what we have for the categories of types of numbers, and then we're going to talk about the properties of those numbers a little bit. Again, these flip videos, these just kind of help you guys have some kind of premise to come into class with. Alright? So, first of all, types of numbers. Okay, as you can see here, we got some main types of numbers. Okay, we have real numbers. This is what we're going to focus on. In these real numbers, we have our rationals, our irrationals, and then our rationals kind of fall into some categories here. We can see here, integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers. Okay, first of all, real numbers. Okay, these are the things we deal with every day. These are our regular numbers of math. Okay, so when we talk about this, we're just going to say regular numbers. Okay, those real numbers are the ones we know about. All right? Let me break those down. Okay, real numbers break down into all these below it. Okay, first of all, rational numbers. These are numbers that end. Okay, that's the big thing about rational numbers. They end. All right? So, rational numbers, again, are numbers that end. We're looking at 5, 2/3, -10. Okay, these are rational numbers. Okay, they end. They have a stopping point. All right, now we fall into, more specifically under these rational numbers, we have our integers, our whole numbers, and our natural numbers. Okay, first of all, integers. Okay, integers are things that are, negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. Okay, we don't have any decimals. In integers, we have no decimals. So again, we're talking about -5, 0, 1, 10, these kind of numbers, no decimals. Okay? Whole numbers, we're going to drop off the negatives. All right, whole numbers. No negatives, so bigger than 0. We're talking 0, 1, 10, 100. Those kind of numbers. All right? Natural numbers, we're going to drop off the 0. So with natural numbers, we have no 0. So we're talking about 1, 2, 10, 20, so on and so forth. Whole numbers, but without the 0. Okay? These are a breakdown of rational numbers. Now looking at irrational numbers. If rational numbers ended, irrational numbers don't. Okay, these don't end. So we're talking about 1.2111 repeating, going on forever. Or square root of 2. That doesn't end. You'll get a decimal that goes on forever. Those type of numbers. Okay, so again, these are our types of numbers. We have real numbers, which is what we're focused on now. We'll get unreal numbers later. Imaginaries, what we'll call those. But with real numbers, we have rational numbers and we have irrational numbers. Under rational numbers, we have integers, which are broken further down into whole numbers, which can be broken further down again into natural numbers. Because this is our breakdown of numbers, the types that we have. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the properties of numbers. Okay, there's some main properties of numbers that we want to focus on. First one is the commutative property. This just says that we can add or multiply in any order. So for addition, A plus B is going to be the same thing as B plus A. Multiplication, A times B will be the same thing as B times A. Commutative, we can switch it around. Same thing either way, doesn't matter which order you do it in. Okay, associative. Again, with addition and multiplication, we can do it in any order, meaning parentheses won't matter. Okay, if we add 2 and 3 first and then add 5 to it, It's the same thing as if we added 2 and 5 first and then added 3 to it. So associative means that A plus B plus C will be equal to A plus B plus C. Doesn't matter our order. Same thing with multiplication. A times B times C will be equal to A times B times C. Again, our order is not mattering with addition and multiplication. Okay? The identity property. The identity property is what we can add or multiply with our number to keep the same number. So for addition, it'll be adding 0. A plus 0 is still equal to A. For multiplication, multiplying by 1 keeps our number the same. A times 1 is still equal to A. Okay? Now the inverse property. The inverse property for addition and multiplication are a little bit different. Okay, for addition, it's what's going to cancel with our number to get it back to 0. Okay, what's going to cancel with our number to get it back to 0? So in this case, it'll be negative that number. A plus negative A, that equals 0. That's your inverse property for addition. Now for multiplication, it's what can we multiply times our number to get back to 1. Okay, so it's the inverse, the multiplicative inverse of that number. So A times 1 over A would equal 1, canceling out with the fraction. Okay, so that's inverse. Next one we have is closure. This is kind of an abstract property. We won't use it too much. Okay, for addition, it just says that A plus B is a real number. For multiplication, it says A times B is a real number. And then distributive we've seen before. Okay, distributive for them is going to be combined. What it's going to say is that A times B plus C is the same thing as AB plus AC. Distribution property, and we've seen that before. So, from this about 8-minute video, what I want you to see are the properties of numbers. Again, we have rational and irrational. Rational breaks down into integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers, each one eliminating a couple. And then we have the properties of numbers, which you can see here. Commutative, we can add or multiply in any order. Associative, again, we can add or multiply in any order, talking about with parentheses now. Identity, what can we add to A to keep A? What can we multiply by A to keep A? Inverse, what can we add to A to get back to 0? Or for the multiplicative side of it, what can we multiply by A to get back to 1? Closure, we're just saying that A plus B is a real number, since they're both real numbers. And A times B is a real number, again, because they're both real numbers. And finally, distributive property. We've seen this before, but A times B plus C, that's equal to AB plus AC. Again, just trying to give you guys a little insight on what we're going to get into tomorrow. But that's how that's going to go. So, it's our first flip video. Make sure you guys do your whisk. Thank you very much.